times Judge Lauren Lake loses her patience on paternity court.
You're not making anybody look bad except yourself.
You up here talking to me?
No, I'm addressing him next.
Oh, well, you should
So
be
the
him first.
point is, no. Let's get this straight. I address what I want to address in the order I want to address it. Fight that urge to go from one man to the next, one man to the next, and back, and forth, and back, and forth. That's what you've been doing.
Miss White is in the courtroom to set the record right for her granddaughter.
Ms. White, you claim your daughter's low self-esteem and struggles with her weight have led to promiscuity and questions of paternity. Ms. White, you admit you are unsure who fathered your 3-month-old daughter, but say you blame your mother for many of your problems. Now, both possible fathers have been tested and are waiting outside of the courtroom.
While Christy told the judge how her appearance was affecting her existence.
As my mom said, she offered to take me to the Y, but when I went up to the Y, I got teased on up there. It was an incident where, you know, I went in there to exercise and boys was throwing candy and water on me. I just felt like, even though people could tell you you're beautiful, you know, if I don't feel it, I don't feel like it's true.
This is why Mom was on the verge of breaking.
She's finding love in all the wrong places. She want to feel love, she want boyfriends, but you don't find them like that going on Craigslist. Moco space, you know, you jeopardizing your life, you getting into cars at nighttime, sitting in a strange car with people I've never seen before.
With that said, let's get to the paternity question.
I was going to my friend's house. I felt as though she was my real friend. She had my best interest in mind. I was going out with one guy, and you know, if she didn't feel like he was good enough, she would introduce me to another guy. So, you know, I always did it to please her. You know, I didn't want to lose her as a friend because I don't make many friends.
Were you sleeping with these guys
Yes.
she was introduced to?
Let's get these potentials. Too young to be daddies in.
After the month, she had some trust issues with me. After the fact that me and another of my friends had a threesome with her.
I met Christy White at a party. We had sex. The other guy, they ain't have on no condom.
So she asked you to come in the room after you were intimate with Ms. White and you left out. This other gentleman came in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
This is getting very upsetting.
Ms. White, you, and understandably so, you seem upset by this.
I'm very upset, Your Honor. I just met Philip last year. He's so sure that he's the baby daddy. He even put on Facebook a picture of my grandbaby alongside his picture. I don't know Corey. This is my first time y'all ever seen him.
Mr. Clappin.
Yes, Your Honor.
After this, the judge called in his best friend.
Thank you for joining us. What is going on over there?
Well, Your Honor, I ain't set her or nobody. Christy came over and she was talking to my other friend before she met Mr. Langford. She was talking to my other friend and she was telling him she wanted to have sex with him before she even just knew him. She was just saying, I want to have sex with anybody. And I was there when they had the threesome at my house. Yes, ma'am, it happened at my house. I was there in the room.
All the information thrown around really made the judge furious.
You all can argue back and forth across this aisle, but this is her choice. And she admits that she's sleeping with men for the wrong reason. She already said that. And ultimately, you know this is your responsibility. You know that. Because any friend that stands by and watches you having sex with man after man after man after man, that's not your friend. Now today, we're gonna break this cycle.
Judge Lake gave some outstanding life lessons to the defendant, and we loved her for it.
I don't care if another person in this world ever tells you you're beautiful. One thing's for sure, everybody's beautiful in the bed. That's the okie doke. You get it? You too smart to fall for that. You too beautiful to be in that, but you gotta know it for yourself. You get what I'm saying? But you're gonna get it together, starting today. Are we clear?
FYI, the men at the podium weren't on Judge Lake's good side either.
You rushing into adulthood, don't know what you doing. We all, as Ms. White said, we don't choose our family, we can't choose where we come from, but the moment you make the choice to engage in activity that can produce a human being is the moment you have made the direct or indirect decision that it's time for you to grow up because now you gotta raise somebody.
Yeah.
She went on more like this.
I'm not laughing, I'm scared because this whole thing can repeat itself. When you look at your beautiful baby girl, can you imagine her in a room with guy after guy after guy? No. Can you even imagine that?
No.
Is that what you want for her?
No.
So what you gonna do about it?
I'm going to job court to get my high school diploma, and I'm gonna do better for her.
Let's go to the results.
In the case of White versus White, when it comes to the paternity of 3-month-old Christina White, Mr. Clopton, you are not the father. Mr. Langford, you are her father.
On and off again friends with benefits are stuck in a paternity dispute, and Judge Lake is their only way out.
Ms. Lewis, you say you're here to demand the defendant finally take responsibility because though he denies it, he is indeed the biological father of both your children.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pippin, you argue there's no way you're the father of her kids and claim you have undeniable proof on your side.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Up next is the relationship timeline, which is a little tricky to understand.
One day he came home from the group home and he was riding the bus with her. Me and Mr. Pippin got closer. He was dating Miss Sanders, but she doesn't know this. This when she had a little red truck. He came to my house. I was home by myself. We had sex the very first time in 2009. So he moves in, me and Mr. Pippin had sex again.
Mommy presented the intimacy timeline to the court.
Your child, Quayshawn, was conceived May 25th, around that area.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pippin wasn't even around?
He wasn't because he was living with me in Tarboro. In order for him to go to work, I had to take him to work.
Just because you said you wanted me, he won't come home to me?
When we were going back and forth, he hadn't been to Greenville because of his work schedule and my work schedule.
Miss Lewis was sure no one else could be the daddy.
And my mother's my witness. She saw him coming out the front door when she was coming to bring me the car. And she saw him that same day coming down the steps. He said, I'll be back tonight. And he came back that night.
Were you dating anybody else?
No, Your Honor. I trust Mr. Pippin. He kept telling me we're gonna be together, we're gonna build a family, because he told me, I wanted you to have my kids, I'm coming home to you and only you. Because he had gave me a ring, and he said, I'm coming home to only you, and I want us to build this family. This is when he asked me.
Judge Lake was devastated over the fact that a baby was suffering in this situation.
So now Quayshawn is 2 years old.
Yes, Your Honor.
And all this nonsense is going on. 2 years old. What are you feeling, Miss Lewis?
He don't even like you because you whine on him when he was 7 months old. He said, Dad, 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 Dad. And you whine at the front door and slammed like you never heard him call you. That boy look just like your dumb tail.
Let's see what future results are holding for this kid.
In the case of Lewis Cornigi v. Pippin, when it comes to 2-year-old Quayshawn Pippin, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Pippin, you are not.
I told you then. I told you.
Okay, I mean, don't mean a difference. You ain't been doing that no way. So he ain't lost a game, nothing. He still got a father who's got his
Why is he
back.
making a big point of it?
And FYI, the drama has just started.
And yet, you two continue to have a sexual relationship because we have yet another child whose paternity is in question.
So the judge started the same trivia again.
What are the circumstances surrounding this particular paternity issue? Or let's just cut to the chase. Who else could be the father?
Nobody, Your Honor.
Were you sleeping with anybody else at the time?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so please give me the circumstances surrounding this particular pregnancy and why you are so certain that it is Mr. Pippin's child.
Because around the time I got pregnant, I was only sleeping with him.
What does the boyfriend have to say about it?
When I lost my son September the 1st, she was with me. I lost my son when he passed away. It took me a while to get a bond with her 2 children. Now, they call me dad, and I accept, because I lost my son. A week later, we had a girl. Our daughter is 2 months old, so we do got a daughter together now, blood. But I lost my dad when I was 18. This is a long time ago. Now I'm trying to show him the right way my dad taught me. I'm his father right now.
Time for the second envelope.
Mr. Cornigi, you are not his father. It has also been determined by this court, Mr. Pippin, you are his father.
Thank you.
I told you.
Then I step up and do what I gotta do.
And we know how Judge Lake takes down such things.
You two have kids together, you two have kids together, and you two have kids together. You all are messed up, turned out, back around. This whole thing was such a mess. I could barely understand the story. It was such a mess. Y'all gotta clean this up, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Too many children.
2 men in a potential run, and baby mama can't tell who the father is.
Ms. Ray, 2 men claim your 2-year-old son, Jordan, calls them daddy.
Yes, Your Honor.
They also say you've held them both financially responsible for your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say those statements are lies.
Yes, Your Honor.
You confess you got caught in a love triangle, and now, though it breaks your heart, you don't know which man fathered your son.
The love triangle had been going down like this.
The end of the summer in 2011, me and Mr. Wise was on a break, and Mr. Eastham was a longtime friend of mine, a shoulder to cry on, and we had 2 different occasions that we had got drunk and partied together. We do not know if we had sex. It is a possibility that he could be Jordan's father.
However, the initial testimony had loopholes.
So, Mr. Eastham, was this the one and only time you were intimate with Ms. Ray?
No.
That's true.
No.
We used to be together for here and there, like when me and Josh would split up, there was always a connection. So yeah, he was my go-to person.
So you were sleeping together, and it wasn't just one night. It was an ongoing relationship that usually happened during the break from Mr. Wise.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is how Mr. Wise found out the truth.
When did you find out about Mr. Eastham and the fact that Ms. Ray was in a sexual relationship with him?
2 months.
That is when I told Josh that Dave could possibly be the father, because we had them 2 nights that we had partied together, and we do not know what happened. Neither one of us could remember. And I knew it would break Josh's heart and break my heart if Jordan was not Josh's child.
The irony was that Jordan called both men daddy.
You love that little boy.
Both of them.
He
love
calls you daddy.
Yeah, he's called me dad before too, though.
That's not true, Your Honor.
That is true.
Do you feel like Jordan is your biological child?
That's my boy right there, yeah.
That's my boy. Ain't nobody gonna take my son from me.
Ain't nobody gonna take him from me neither.
Miss Ray had her reason to choose another man over her best friend.
If she was happy in the past year and a half, how come me and her had occurrences in the past year?
Ask her that. That's because she
Because you ran back to your baby's mom as well, that's why. So 2 can play that game, baby.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did. But when I find out you're over here and over there and over here and over there and up there and down here and all that.
Don't make me sound like I'm no hoe that just ran around.
Mr. Eastham played coy very well in the courtroom.
If that was so true, how come 2 hours ago it was, I love you so much, I can't wait to see you back in our city?
Why are you here?
I'm here because that little boy on that TV screen, to give him peace of mind, to give me peace of mind, and to give both of you guys peace of mind. That's why I'm here.
And now, Judge Lake was done with the vain to and fro.
Listen, I've sat here and I said to myself, well, when does this end? Like, it's like a tennis match that I've witnessed between 2 men and you running back from one to the other. But if I'm completely honest, I don't think it's over. I
know it's over.
So the judge gave them a piece of her mind.
Everybody can see what's going on. The important thing is you gotta get out of the denial. You gotta act like you all under control in this situation and decide to get control. Meaning, fight that urge to go from one man to the next, and back, and forth, and back, and forth. That's what you've been doing.
Looks like there's just no end to all of this.
In the case of Ray v. Wise Eastham, when it comes to 2-year-old Jordan Wise, and whether Mr. Wise or Mr. Eastham is his biological father, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Wise is his father.
Mr. Brown has full custody of his child, and he's not ready to lose his son over paternity doubt.
Mr. Brown, just 2.5 months ago, it was revealed that your 18-month-old son, Colby, may not be your biological child, even though you currently have full custody.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you've dragged Ms. Stewart to court to prove that you are Colby's father because you fear if you are not, you will lose him for good.
Yes, Your Honor.
The plaintiff expressed his love for Colby like this.
My whole entire family knows him as theirs. I have 2 grandmas that have Alzheimer's that know him as their grandsons. My 14-year-old son knows him as his little brother. My house is a more stable home for him. It's a place where he's taken care of, and I know it's the better thing for him.
But Mommy believed that she could also take care of her son.
So, Ms. Stewart, you're saying that you know for certain that he's not Mr. Brown's biological child?
I'm 100% sure he's not the father.
You understand that Mr. Brown is saying he has a healthy, happy upbringing in his home?
I know he's with me and when he's gonna be happy and healthy. I can provide that for my son because I've been working my butt off every day, going without about seeing my son. I see him once a week. What's that to a mom who has raised and gave birth to that son?
This is how the plaintiff got custody of the kid.
So what happened when she brought the police to your house?
I was on the birth certificate, and the cop that she brought was probably the only one on the force she could get to side with her. He came and told me it was in my best judgment I give the child back. And I asked him if by law I had to. And he said in his opinion he thought that I needed to, but there's nothing he could do about it. So therefore I asked the officer to please leave my residence because there was nothing he could do.
The other potential father popped up in the story like this.
Upset and hurt because he took my son from me. And that is when I told him, texted him, said, okay, I said, he is not your son. I know I should have told you in the long run, but that is not your son.
That was after she lived in my household for over 3 years and mooched off my family.
No, I never mooched off your family. It's more like your family was given to me. They're being generous.
Why did you wait so long to tell him? Like, why not tell him before so he would have never had the child in the first place?
Miss Stewart had no proper explanation for hiding the truth for so long.
How does he get an open case?
I don't know, Your Honor. I'm not even quite sure. I don't understand that. But I never went and I never told them that he was a father and that I wanted child support from him because I even told DHS and the child support recovery that I did not want any money from him.
And if he has custody, why is he paying support anyway?
He don't.
Up next, judge asked the plaintiff's witness to testify.
Miss Teskey, thank you for joining us. You are...
I'm his girlfriend. This is between me and Mr. Brown, not me and Miss Teskey and Mr. Brown.
Well, Miss Teskey takes care of your son, you don't.
Yeah, and Miss Teskey ain't supposed to be around our son.
Okay, all right, now I know what it's about.
That's why Miss Teskey is supposed to be around you, Billy Andre JT.
Forward.
Miss Teskey told the court this.
Well, I know that right now I am both emotionally and financially involved in this whole situation. He's the best father in the world to that little boy, and I know this is going to devastate him completely if that's not his son. And I know the other gentleman that is supposedly the father. He didn't tell me around the time frame or anything like that, but he did admit it.
Did the other guy think he was the father?
No.
Like us, the judge also wondered why Mr. Brown went to the length of the DNA test.
You are here requesting a DNA test to prove that you are Colby's biological father, with the understanding that the result may indicate that you are not the biological father, but you are the current legal father of record because you're on the birth certificate and you have custody.
Yep.
But Mommy was not ready to give up that easily.
When it determines that you are not the father, he is going home with me today.
Miss Stewart, you do understand if there is a custody order in effect, you could get into a little bit of trouble. So I want to caution you to not do anything out of emotion or just to stick it to Mr. Brown, revenge. That will put your freedom in jeopardy. Because then, what are you gonna do? He gonna go right back to Mr. Brown's.
And after this, Miss Stewart broke down in the middle of a trial.
You don't let me take my son for a weekend. That boy is my world. And it's like you guys don't give a crap about how I feel or how it feels to not have my son. But
I know exactly how you feel. I know exactly how you feel.
No, you don't, because
yes,
if you
I
did,
do.
then you would understand and
yes,
tell
I
Mr.
do.
Brown that I should have every right to that boy.
Because where are you living at and where's he living at right now? And you know that's what's best for him.
It was time for the DNA envelope.
In the case of Brown versus Stewart, when it comes to 15-month-old Colby Brown, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
I told you. I told you.
But things didn't end there, as the judge had to give her input.
You have to put this child first. You say you love him. You know, I hear this all the time, right, Jerome? Well, I'd do anything for my kids. Oh, will you?
Yes, I will.
Somebody that disrespected you for your child, will you let your child see his biological mother, even when you don't really think you want to, but will you help them kind of make the transition when it's not what you want? That's a part of caring for a child.
This alleged father believes that the defendant is pinning her baby on him.
Mr. Johnson, you claim the defendant, Ms. Owens, initially led you to believe that her child was your biological son. You say you were there when Dakari was born and you even signed his birth certificate. But you recently learned that Ms. Owens slept with another man who is now deceased around the time of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
The duo was up each other's throats right from the start.
Ms. Owens, did you tell him at any point that he was the father and then change it and say he wasn't?
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
At the beginning, yes, I did believe that he was the father. But when my son was around 6 months, when we was together, living together, we both noticed that he started looking like the other dude, which is Dwayne.
The judge asked them about the pregnancy again. they were not on the same page.
Got pregnant. He was at the hospital. Mr. Johnson was at the hospital.
And I paid for him to come to the hospital. I bought his ticket. I paid for him to come back.
Where's all this coming from,
and
though,
I paid
man?
for him to go to Chicago to live with his
wait,
daddy. That was $108.
Hold on. Did you believe at that time?
Yes.
He was the father?
Yes, I knew in my heart that he was the father.
Mr. Johnson testified that he was taking care of both the baby and the mama.
I was living there with her. I was paying for everything. I was paying to go back and forth to the doctor visits.
He did not pay. He ain't never been to one of my doctor visits with me, never in life. And the day when I was about to have my baby, he went
Don't
that
believe
day.
this girl,
He didn't
man.
come with me that
Don't
day.
believe her, man.
No, he didn't.
Were you helping her raise the baby? Were
Yes,
you
of
supporting?
course. Changing diapers, feed them.
The
While
diapers
she was
that
laying
I
on her
bought.
fat.
Oh, did he just call her fat?
Now you have to watch your language.
I'm just saying, that's okay, Your Honor, because it is fat. You know, that's okay.
She sleep around with everybody, you know?
Everybody got to sleep. Don't be mad at me for doing what you do.
You all got a lot of jokes.
Because of
what
jokes,
we're trying to figure out is whether either you're this child's father.
The next question caused more mess, but the judge concluded things like this.
Had you buried it back in your mind so far that he could potentially be your child's father, you just again didn't admit it to yourself?
Honor.
Or did you say to yourself, oh my goodness, this could be my child's father that passed away?
Shut up and quit talking. You can hear something with them little bitty ears.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind, okay?
How could that not be in your mind?
After which, things got more awkward.
Can
You had
pipe
sex
down?
with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with her. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, doggy.
You ain't funny or none of that, though.
Mr. Johnson, Ms. Owens, I'm taking a moment of pause so that I can find the appropriate, respectful words to tell you both how absolutely ridiculous you look right now. Both of you.
Yeah, Judge, preach, please.
One, have a seat. You're not making anybody look bad except yourself.
You up here talking
no,
to me?
I'm addressing him next.
Oh, well, you should
So
hit
the
him first.
point is, no. Let's get this straight. I address what I want to address in the order I want to address it.
Whoa, they pushed the wrong buttons in this courtroom.
You telling him to sit down, he telling you and cursing you out, you calling her names, that's potentially the mother of your child. There is a young boy here, Dakari, clowning in here, and a child sitting up here and don't know if his father's here or in a grave. You clowning.
Looks like the judge is done with clowning for good.
Keep your mouth shut until we get to these results. I will not have it. Nothing worse than just some silliness for nothing, trying to make yourself look cute, and both of you look like a fool sitting up in here. This is ridiculous.
Even though the judge was drained, she called in Mr. Tyson's mother.
I talked to her on the phone. She sent me pictures of Dakari, but this is my first time seeing her in person. If it's not still, I would be there for Alexis, to talk to her, because I've been there without a father. Or if the young man is the daddy, let him be the father in the baby life, because like you said, that's what matters, Dakari. Nothing else is they doing.
Thank you.
Just before the end, the judge addressed both sides like this.
He deserves that and doesn't need to have to deal with this nonsense just because it serves you both to try to one-up one another. You can never one-up him. You all can talk about each other like a dog, and at the end of the day, it only hurts him. If you end up being his father and he gotta watch you talk about his mother like that,
Let's go to the result.
when it comes to Dakari Johnson, based on the testing results, the probability of relatedness is 99.99%.